Hello everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Looks like we're live. I'm back to chess. I would say it's been I lost a devastating game in round 7 of my previous tournament. I believe it was like it was this insane game that I was supposed to. If I'd won, I'd basically have been first in the tournament, and then I was second going into the last round. I lost the game, and I finished ninth. It was very painful. I've been completely out of chess since then. So today, I'm back by popular demand, you could say. Although the demand exactly consists of to quote Peter Swidler, the demand exactly consists of one person, and that person is yours truly. Anyway, so we're going to play two rapid games today, mainly because my brain is super slow. I can't play Blitz or Bullet, not on stream at least. I've been like super out of touch with chess. So we're gonna play two rapid games and see where it goes. I picked up a new habit since we last met. I drink sparkling water now, and I hope that this can better my chess. I guess we'll soon find out. So let's start with rapid game number one. I've forgotten most of the theory. I was in a good flow before going on this break. I was preparing for the tournament. Completely forgotten all the theory. Looks like I'm rated 1560, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to play more like a 1400. Let's start with the Caro-Kann. So e4, c6, knight f3. I know that you're supposed to play d5, ed, cd, bishop g4, or bishop f5 becomes my choice. Here after d4, yeah. Now the theory, I can't quite remember what I used to study. Here, I think in this position I used to play bishop f5, but of course bishop g4 is also looking very tempting. But let's go with the principal approach of bishop f5. The reason you don't play bishop g4 is because if I recall, I think he can do something like h3, bishop h5, g4, bishop g6, knight h4. I don't know. I just wanted to avoid that. Now he's played bishop b5 check. This looks interesting, but simply knight c6, and my opponent looks to have a pin, but honestly this bishop is much stronger than this knight. In my opinion, at my level, of course at grandmaster level it's going to be different. But the way I see it, trading that pair doesn't do much. So one of the most annoying parts of the Caro-Kann is that I think here he can try something like knight e5, putting more pressure. If he plays knight e5, yes, we have this position. Yes, Jan, knight e5. My opponent, when Yasser's in the house, Yasser plays knight e5, and after knight e5, Yasser is completely puzzled with knight e5, and now, of course, my opponent is threatening to take on c6, bc6, bishop c6 check, winning this exchange. But you're right, Jen. We're gonna play queen c7. And we're gonna stop this idea in its tracks. But after bishop f4, this is quite. Am I just lost out of the opening here? Well, you could say, but I think I've played terribly, but I'm still not lost because I have queen b6. Because yeah, queen c7 is obviously a mistake because of knight takes c6, and I'm forced to take with the queen or lose my queen, or even if I take with the queen I lose my queen. So queen b6, simply avoiding this idea. But there's no doubt that white has won the opening, and maybe bishop f5 was inaccurate. So going back all the way here, maybe bishop g4 is the right way to go. I might have just forgotten the theory for the exchange variation. After queen b6, my opponent was I mean, it must be an irritating move to face queen b6 because he must have thought he won after bishop f4. Going back here, I could have just played queen b6 in one move, and then I allowed bishop f4, which I should have really seen. But I will put that down to ring rust. I'll put that down to ring rust and try to shake it off and play a normal game of chess. Starting now, I'm one tempo behind, knight c3, which is a good move. You can never go wrong playing knight c3, is what my coach used to say. Here, you play a6, try to kick the bishop. If he takes, you take, and then pretend that you have some pressure on the e5 pawn. If he goes bishop back, queen takes b2 is a very ambitious try, but still that hangs knight takes e6, of course, so I can't play queen takes b2. I really need to castle to get rid of the spin on the king. I need to play maybe e6, bishop e7, knight f6, and get castle king side. I'm actually much behind in development, and white is just clearly winning out of the opening. Yeah, he takes. Now he's giving some pressure back to me. This I don't like at all, what he's doing, because now he's just loving like to consolidate. He should have just probably just played bishop a4 and after knight f6 just castle. He's too worried about this b2 pawn. I'm never going to take the b2 pawn. And now black just develops instantly, plays knight e4, exchanges this pair of knights. Did he just hang? Oh, he didn't. Of course not. Queen is defending. Of course. I keep thinking that I have a knight here, but that's not the case. Of course, I should probably play d6, bishop b4. Now if he castles, the bishop b4 move becomes rather useless. Black is definitely better than where black was. Black in this position is like completely, I mean, there were two mistakes in the opening. One was bishop f5. I don't know if bishop f5 is a mistake, but I don't know the theory, and that makes it a mistake automatically. Here he played knight e5, queen c7, bishop f4, queen b6, knight c3, a6 takes, b3, knight f6, and now my opponent is going into a tank. He goes knight a4, but knight a4, of this I'm not so sure. The reason I'm not sure about this is something like something as simple as queen a5 check, queen a5 is met by c3, queen b4 is met by c3, queen a5, c3 again, then the c6 pawn hangs, so you got to play something like rook c8. Maybe you can get away with it, but then you got to think about something like knight c5. The other alternative is to move the queen to b7, which looks, if I'm being very frank, it looks depressing. Queen b5 is an option. Queen b5 is definitely an option. The reason being, it stops castles. It stops my opponent from castling and definitely steps away from these threats. He can play knight c5 here and start to annoy me. But although the main square d7 is completely defended by my knight on f6 and bishop on f5. So the point here is that he can't castle, so he has to play something very uncomfortable like queen e2 or queen d3 or something like this. And now he's lost the thread of the position a bit. Oh, queen d3 is a blunder. I'm sorry, I'm just like out of touch with chess for a while. Here after queen b5, I think queen b5 is an excellent move. I don't know what computer would think, but like queen b5 simply stops him from castling and allows me to play e6 and bishop b4 in one move. Yeah, he goes back knight d3. When he goes back knight d3, that automatically is an admission that he's done something wrong. So let's just play e6 and get our development back on track. This is the mature way to play, not to get too carried away. Yeah, he just castles bishop e7, and just castle yourself and get rid of all your opening troubles. Now black is perfectly fine in such an opening. Sure, you can ask me why I didn't give him double pawns here. With bishop takes knight, queen takes bishop, queen takes queen, pawn takes queen. These double pawns would become a weakness, but without completing my development, I thought that giving double pawns is not my priority right now. The priority is to is to simply finish developing. And now we are in a good position that we can start perhaps having some fun going. Welcome to 5-time world champion Vishwanathan Anand. Well, this position looks interesting, and my opponent has simply put his knight back on d3. And going back to here, I didn't like this entire motif of bishop. I like bishop f4, queen b6, and here I think he could have played very energetically. He could have just castled here. Instead, okay, of course, castling blunders the bishop, so I meant like he could have played bishop c6, bc6 and castles, but he allowed all these complications, and this move was a waste of tempo. And maybe knight a4, queen b5, knight d3, e6, castles, bishop e7, and now black is doing fine. And what do you think, Alexander? Well, if Ishi says black is doing fine, black is doing fine. I don't see where black is. I don't see. I mean, like white still has to play some moves like c4, a4, knight b2, knight b2, c4, d4, bc4, queen, or bc4. Instead of bc4, he could have played knight c4, and his bishop on f4 is a bit stupid. But I've been proven wrong many times, of course. But this is just my opinion that maybe just somewhere here just castling would have been fine for white. Black was under a lot of pressure, and now after bishop e7, black is fine, and white is just looking for moves. And that's all I have to say about it. I will hand it over to Peter Schwidler. Rook c1. I'm not so sure about rook c1. Somewhere in some position. Anish, what do you think about it? Rook c1. I've seen this with reverse colors, and maybe rook c1. Magnus played this against me sometime. Rook c1 in the 14th move. I'm not quite seen this. I've seen this with reverse colors with rook c8. But when in my chessable course, when like rook c1 is played, in these positions, black can castle and black is fine. I think he's threatening to play c4, and if he plays c4, white just moves. Black just moves the queen, and black is completely fine. Yeah, I mean, sure, it's not smooth, but what do you want me to say? I mean, it's just not smooth. Is that your point? I mean, if you just play c4, I just put the queen on b7 and ask that there's nothing going on. Is that your point? Or I could just take twice and win a pawn, and then the knight on a4 is hit and the knight on d3 is hit. You just lose. Or probably can't win a pawn. What am I saying? Oh my god. Okay, focus. Let's focus on chess. c4. Yeah, c4. Queen b7. Many years in this kind of position I've played queen b7 and hope for the best, but queen b7, my opponent is going to play knight c5, and that's kind of what his entire motif is here, to play the move knight c5. But if you take and he takes with a pawn, he simply loses a knight. I completely can't believe that I didn't see this. If he takes with the rook, of course, it creates this disbalance with this position. He has to take with the rook. I mean, it's completely forced. Sure, my c6 pawn is a bit weak, but sure, he cannot take with the b pawn because he's losing a knight. If he takes with the rook, what do you do is the question, right? So if you take with the rook, in this position you play rook ad8 with the next move to follow being, can I play c5 here is the question. c5, knight c5 is the problem. So you play the knight, you play your knight to d5. It can never be that bad a move to play a knight to c5, knight to d5 in these kind of positions, so that he doesn't have something like knight c3. And that's the major point of this move. Major point of this move is to also, he has to play something like bishop g3 and waste a tempo. That's of course, the bishop on f4 is a bit loose. This is one of the most boring games I've ever played in, but sparkling orange show. Rook 88, rook 88, rook 88, rook 88, maybe, I don't know, I really don't know about these, what's going on here? What's going on? 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 Come on, chat, he has to play bishop g3, knight, guys, there's knight c3, there's knight c3, knight c3, knight c3, rook c3, and maybe queen a5, and somehow I'm okay, guys. Maybe here he has to play something like, if he plays knight c3, just, yeah, knight e5, I saw knight e5, but he's just blundered a bishop, guys. My opponent has just blundered a bishop, it looks like he's just blundered a bishop, and for no reason, guys. That's just a free bishop, you guys. The knight on d3 was guarding the bishop, and he simply blundered a bishop. Guys, he's just blundered a bishop. Blundered a bishop. And now my opponent risks this knight landing here, and then if knight takes knight, bishop takes knight, although the queen would take and I'd cry, but that's not the point here. Guys, we're a piece up. After all that, we're a piece up. Guys, we're a piece up, guys. Chat, we're a piece up. I mean, this move, I'm not so sure, chat. Chat is still a piece down. Chat, we can still get excited, chat, because he's a piece down. The knight is not very scary, guys. We're simply a piece up, guys, so I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Let's just play bishop f6, guys. Just get out of trouble. Just get out of trouble. But then we are allowing knight c5, guys. I don't like these knights. I don't like these knights at all. I simply don't like them. With knight c5, I have rook c8 maybe. And then knight a7, rook takes. Oh, then knight takes queen. So that's not okay, guys. So maybe I don't like knight a7 after rook c8. Rook a8. Rook a8, knight a7. Queen has to move. I don't know. These bishops, we're just a piece up. So let's just focus on not messing this up, guys. The next move, of course, is bishop d3. Is like a game ending move. He just has to resign after bishop d3. Unless he has something planned. Does he have knight a7 here? Maybe. Rook c5. Interesting. Rook c5, I have queen e2. Chat, I have queen e2. Chat, I have queen e2. Don't I? Or knight e2? Knight e2, queen c4. No. Knight e2, queen d3 is not working. Or just queen d3, exchange the queens. The other way to play this is to exchange the queens indeed. Let's just exchange the queens. Change the queens, change the queens, change the queens. There's of course this stunning move hitting these two pieces and like removing that annoying knight from c6. If my opponent avoids the queen trade, that's what we're gonna go for. If he goes knight c1, queen c1, it's just suicide after knight e2, simply forking the king and the queen. If he goes queen here, queen takes queen. If he goes queen a1, then we have bishop e4, simply trapping the knight on g2, the pawn on g2 and the knight on c6. So he has to play something like g3. Then we take on c6. He takes on c6, knight h3, queen f3, and we should be winning. It's all about not messing this one up. Yeah, queen takes queen is kind of forced here. The question is whether we want to take with the knight or take with the bishop. I think taking with the bishop is better, because mainly we can play this move. Sorry, bishop back and start to harass him. So I think resigns would be a good move. Ah, he goes for this. He goes for this indeed. This should be a game ending move, I believe. Ah, he's going for some sort of exchange, which I don't think is a great idea. Ah, bishop takes. So the problem with bishop takes is he takes queen first, right? Let's go for this one. Let's go for this. Because he's gonna take knight takes rook. We're going for the king. I'm hanging the rook on purpose because sure, the rook has no squares. If I play rook e8, he can just play knight here and this rook is hanging forever. If I play a rook, I mean all these squares are covered by the knight, so the best strategy in this case is to counterattack. Queen takes d3. Bishop takes d3, and now his rook is hit, so he has to play rook here. Well, in that case, we just move. Did we just fuck this up? I'm not sure. The question with such positions is always whether you've screwed it up. I think I'm still winning, but these knights need to go one way or the other. I don't even mind trading an exchange. As long as the knights are off the board, I'm still winning this game. I'm still winning this game as long as the knights are off the board. We need to get this pawn maybe. Maybe some check and pick up this pawn, but of course the problem is that he's gonna play rook here. And bishop e2. Bishop c2, rook d2, and then the knight can't. Yeah, rook here. Very cute. But we're still gonna do this. I don't know anymore. He can just take on a8 and then play g3. Although I don't like how active his rooks and knights are, frankly. He's been outplaying me for the last, since I won a piece, I've been playing terribly. I mean, I missed this entire threat of knight c6, rook c5, queen d3. I missed knight b6 basically, and now he's taken. Question is whether you want to take here and then take the a8 knight. Let's actually do that. That's probably for the best to get rid of both knights. The point why I didn't take here, you'll soon see it, is that this is just much better. Now both the knights are gone, both the active knights are gone, and I have these two minor pieces for the rook. Sure, you can call it a cope, you can call it copium, laugh at me, but my point still stands. That now I have no knights on the board, and that's always good. g3 is good. Now I just win a pawn. And now we are back to winning ways, I think. Definitely black is better. It's about proving it now. Although I have just opened up files for my opponent. I have to say, I have to play something like h6 somewhere, somehow. What's he going for? I don't see what he's going for. But God works in mysterious ways. Let's just play h6. Let's just give our king some breathing room. to go to h7 if needed. This game is going to devolve into a scrap. It's definitely going to devolve into one of those ugly long endgames if my opponent or me don't blunder our life away. So he has 3 minutes, I have 12 minutes, so that's some consolidation. But this could go on for a while. He really wants to exchange. That looks foolish, to say the least. And here you play knight v5, he gives a check, exchanges king h7, rook a8. I see his point. He's probably going to go after the a pawn, so we want to save the a pawn on a5. So you want to save the a pawn on a5. So the idea is, like, let's say I just play something like rook d8, he plays here. Then I take, he takes with check, king h7, rook f7, king g6, and then he goes after the a pawn. And the a pawn is unsavable at that point because the knight is in a dark square. It jumps to a light square, cannot defend a light square, and the bishop is a dark squared bishop. So what we want to do here is play something like a5, and then let's say if we play a5, we can save this or not. So if we play a5, our knight gets to c6 and our bishop gets to c3, and we should be fine. Now, although it'd be a skewer. So what I'm saying is, let's say if I play a5 here, he gives a check, I take, he takes the same sequence, king h7, rook c7, king g6 to save the f7 pawn, rook a7, that pawn's on a5, you play knight c6, he threatens the knight, and then you go, let's say knight there's no good place for the knight. You see what I mean? Because the knight can't go to here because it'll just make a draw by going back to a7 and threatening the a pawn, and then I can't allow two connected passes. Let's just play a5. It's probably a draw, but I could play knight d8 and bishop c3 and then knight b7, knight c5. I don't know. It could get quite tricky. Yeah, he goes for that line, takes check, king h7, rook c7, king g6. If he goes rook a8 here, I have knight c6. And there's no rook a7 because of, yeah, this time I can just save it and just play bishop c3 or something. Oh, rook c6, I completely missed this. But, Jesus, how did I miss rook c6, rook a6? Now we are in trouble. Now we are in a lot of trouble. Rook a5, bishop c3. He's going to take the a pawn. Now we are in a lot of trouble. Lots and lots of trouble. How are we going to stop these two monsters is the question. And the answer begins in the simplest of ways. You just start with what you can do is put your knight in a good outpost and then harass the rook. Just play a4. Man, I put like, yeah, this formation is almost annoyingly unstoppable for him because this square is always controlled by two pieces. Even if you bring your king, you cannot really touch the setup. Sure, king comes up. Nothing you can do now. Got to say I got lucky with that one. King f6. I just need to not blunder. At this point, just walk the king to d6. Good square for the king. His rook is kind of awkward. I mean, these can't be touched at all. Although, he might try to walk his king to here and try to exchange the two pieces and try to use these two pass pawns that way. For which I need to find the solution. Solution is pretty simple. You just put the bishop on b4. a5. Wait a second. King up. Well, king can harass the rook, and then we pick up the a pawn. That's true. He can go after f7 though. Although I have f5, that's beautiful, because the bishop covers g7. So you can't play rook takes g7 from here. So the sequence I'm looking at is rook b5, king c6, rook b7, bishop takes f5, and then, although then he has a4, no. Oh no, the rook is hanging. Okay, never mind. Yeah, the rook has run out of squares. This is why you shouldn't rush your pawn pushes. This really is why you shouldn't rush your pawn pushes. Now he has to give up the a pawn, from what I can see. King d6 is an exclamation, if ever there was one. That move saved me the game, but I've been telling this for the million times today, and I've been wrong so many times. I'm so out of touch. King c6. Where does he go? Where do you put your rook, mister? Is this rook trapped? Oh, rook b8. He just escapes like that. Okay, he goes after f8. Just take on a5. Chop it off, mate. Chop it off, mate. Chop, 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 chop. Now we're back in business. The knight and the bishop working together beautifully. He goes after that pawn, but unfortunately for him, there's bishop g7. He thought that pawn was unsavable, maybe. And f5, and king d6, and king e7. Good technique, positional understanding. I've at least made a draw here, I think. The biggest mistake would be king here, just allowing me to pick up this rook. Check doesn't work, unfortunately for him, because of king d7, and the knight covers this. I love how the knight and the bishop are coordinating together. I told you this is going to be a long, boring endgame. My opponent has played a very good game. I haven't played a good game at all. Yeah, f5, boring, boring. Can go after e6, but king d6. One check, king e7, king f6. Yada, yada, yada. He can try to make a draw, but we'll see. King d7 even, just king d7. h4. h4, h4, h4. Can I get greedy and play g5? King d7, king e7. Let's just clamp down on that rook and dominate it. Just domination. Maybe the knight belongs. Knight belongs maybe on e4 if I'm being very pedantic about it, but no, knight actually covers the b4 squares. Probably better placed on d5. It's an ideal knight. So he's trying to create some sort of cute little trap, but he's just going ahead and losing the h pawn. Or maybe not. Maybe rook f7, king e8, or rook takes g7, knight takes h5. With some threats, but maybe I have mistaken this for rook f7, king e8. He can pick up this, I can pick up this. This is going to be a well thought out draw, I think. Maybe I got careless, I don't know. Rook at 7. Rook at 7 is an excellent move. Although, rook takes at 6. Rook e6. Not so good. Not so good. King f7, knight f6, and escape maybe. I've made it whole lot more complicated than it needed to be. Not gonna lie. Let's say king here. This pawn is very important. He takes there. I go knight f6, knight d4, or knight back to d5. And he's not getting anything. Knight f6, knight d5, swing it around. This is a well thought out draw. That was terrible. That was terrible chess from me overall. Uh-oh, this looks shaky, to say the least. I hope he realizes his rook is hanging. Yeah, king up. What can I say? King e5. Just play e5, pick up the... It's gonna be a draw unless he loses on time, which he's just teasing. But I just have king e6, king back, king. There's no way to make progress for me, unfortunately. That's third time repetition. No, let's give him something to think about. Yeah, it's a draw. Good draw. GG. That was terrible from me overall. I'm not playing another black game. Screw you. Give me a white game. Why? I just play. Why? Let's play another Caro-Kann here. e4, c6. d4, d5. This is so unfair, chess.com. Knight c3 takes, knight f6. I believe this is called a Tartokova, right? I played this in an over-the-board game once. Here I play bishop g4 usually. And I forgot how the theory goes. Something, bishop e2, bishop d6, I believe. Castles, h3, maybe h3. Maybe my opponent is tempted by h3 because I know I shouldn't give the bishop for the knight. Maybe this is why bishop g5 is in theory here. I think here the theory just goes bishop d6. I forgot. My Russian coach once told me that to play something in these lines. Okay, this I'm not so unhappy about. Just exchange and castle. Queen e2, bishop e7, be nice. Queen e2, queen e7 even. Just exchange queens, knight d7. Play the endgame. I don't know. Knight f5. Fine. If you want to play like that, I can always play that without the knight. I can always play castles and blunder the bishop. Oh man, sometimes I crack myself up way too much. Knight d7, knight b6, knight d5. If a knight gets to d5, c4 is there, c4. So I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe g7 is hanging. So bishop f5, bishop f8, castles, knight d7, g6. Um, so I'm looking at bishop f8, castles, g6, 97. I don't know, triple O maybe. Just let's try to play some unconventional chess. Unconventional with a capital. What's this unconventional? Capital U, I would say. I was gonna say capital C for some reason. I don't know. So this guy is annoying me a lot. So g6, he's gonna play a check, and that's very cute and everything, but king d8, knight e7 maybe? I don't know, king d7. The knight is a bit uncomfortable, knight a6, knight c7, knight d5. And we are out of the woods, king d7, no checks. Bishop f4, knight a6, I think. But g6, then we are back in business. That is to say, not that Jan Gustafsson speaks like this. Maybe in this place, there used to be bishop f4, knight a6, bishop f4, knight a6, g6, knight e3 included, maybe. So bishop f4 is probably the correct move in this position, just so that you have this e3 square for the knight without blocking the bishop. But this is the Tartakower, and theory here is at least many years old, and after g6, my opponent probably didn't expect g6, which is kind of strange. Bishop f4 was the most natural move in this position. My opponent gets a bit carried away and plays rook e1 for no particular reason other than he thinks that getting the e-file somehow is very nice for him. But of course, we are not gonna allow that, and the knight has to go back to g3, from where it has a good square on e4, but by no means an excellent square, because it can always be kicked away by the move f5 and bishop g7 covering the f6 square. If he goes knight at 6, hitting the f7 square in the process, we just snap the knight off. Now, I'm just playing knight a6, knight d5, and then ask him why he's been trying to play all these moves when, well, it looks like I have a dark square weakness. Maybe bishop g7, rook e8, and he takes on f6. That's a bit unfortunate, but it's not as much as an opening disaster as I was expecting. I don't know. This game, it's very exhausting sometimes. Chess. I haven't played for more than a month. I'm kind of happy not to be lost out of the opening in every game. One pawn, I can defend, make a draw, make everybody go home happy. But this knight on d5 is not going to be a blockader because of the move c7, c4, so I might have to play b5 beforehand. And he will play b3, knight d5, c4, b4, b4. Knight has to go somewhere. Everybody likes something. Okay, this one. We're done here. Knight c7, knight d5. c4, the f6 bishop is hanging, so he can't do anything. So we can stop c4 with a preemptive b5, b3. This position is fairly equal, with one pawn down. Knight against bishop. I would rather have the bishop, but we can't always have what we want in life. So we have to think about how to play, or how to use the cards that we've been dealt by life and try to make the best out of it. That's of course the policy of my life in general. After rook e6, knight d5, rook a e8, we're looking at a position which is fairly equal, but white has the healthy extra pawn, which is not the most straightforward to convert in such endings. As the last game has shown, I was completely winning. I was a piece up, and I just completely ended up making a draw, and I'm making a fool out of myself on stream. But such is life. Such is life. c4, good move. c4, just very good move overall. If I play b5 here, my opponent is simply going to play the move b3, and I will play a6. so that he doesn't get any sort of c-file nonsense going with bishop on e5, rook on c1, bearing down on these pawns and doubling up the rooks or some nonsensical things like that. Of course, I always had the option of playing rook takes rook, making this into an endgame. Rook c1 doesn't work here, of course, because of rook takes c1, bc, rook c, knight. Rook c1 does work, because he can just go back with rook c1 and pick up the c4 pawn. So what I was thinking is rook c1. Yeah, he takes, which is the wisest choice in the circumstances. But of course, my knight now gets active. And he plays king inside, which is funny looking move. Funny looking move. But for him, I'm going to play the knight back to c7, and the knight belongs on d5, of course. It'll take him a few moves to try to attack the c6 pawn. He's never going to succeed attacking the c6 pawn, is my argument. The knight belongs on d5. Anchored by the pawn on c6 and the king on d7. So the problem with such endgames is I can always sacrifice the knight for a pawn and make a draw. And my opponent, after being a pawn up, is going to go home unhappy with all that he's gotten in life. Well, I actually forgot my actual voice, speaking like I don't know who at this point. I'm just so tired after 1 hour of chess. Back in my prime, I used to play 6 hours, 7 hours without much trouble, but such is life and age. They get to you. Pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. Let's see. What a stupid position. Gods, what a stupid position. I swear to God, I will pin the thing on Jamie fucking Lannister. I'm sorry, Robert Baratheon is one of my favorite characters. And I keep miming him from time to time. But in this position, everybody's falling asleep, including my opponent and me. Nobody wants to see a knight versus bishop endgame, mate. Let's just shake hands, make a draw, go on with our respective lives, go back to our paying jobs. Please end this torture right now. He takes, rook takes. I'm going to capture the e file, and I'll put the knight on d5. Of course, I'm not going to allow rook takes. A knight d5, make a draw. It's crucial that I use this tempo to play a5, a4, and stifle those pawns. This is an interesting endgame technique. This bishop can never touch this pawn. You just march the king around to b5, and I think it's a comfortable draw. His king doesn't have a way because you just pick up this pawn. So he has to play move a3. Let's try to stifle my knight. You always have knight b6 to save the pawn. Make a draw. a3, king here. King here. Where is the king going to attack this pawn from? That's the big question here. Okay, I need to be careful of my kingside pawns, maybe. Maybe his king can start coming here. No? This draw is going to be tricky. But it is holdable, of course. His bishop moves out of this diagonal. Of course I have this check and picking up g2 and life would be much easier. If I were him, I would play king e4 to confuse the waters. In which case I would play king c8. Question is how you make progress after that. Simply no progress after that. Positionally, I have managed to make a draw with black in a game that I returned to chess. 2 draws with black is not the worst thing in the world, I would say. But let's not count our chickens just yet. This could be a very painful loss. This is why. This is the kind of game that makes me hate chess. Okay, what's he going for here? Let's just play 5. I mean, he can't do anything about these light squares. And now I've stopped his king from going to e4. He has to go like this to get to anywhere. King here, king here. King b5, king c4, and suddenly he might start regretting. Okay, there go a pair of pawns. His king's mobility is completely restricted now. Do nothing. The best thing in this position is to do nothing. Or you create an outside passer. Oh, he can get an extra piece. The way he wins is, I think he pushes. He'll take. Oh, my knight gets to g8. Never mind. This is very tense. Yeah. I think the way he wins is the following. He pushes the pawn. I think I found the win for him. So he pushes the pawn. I take here. If he takes here, then I have knight f6. So he has to go. Sorry, so he doesn't push the pawn. So he takes this pawn. I take the pawn. He pushes the pushes this pawn. I push this pawn. He pauses, plays bishop e5. I push this pawn. Right? Then he runs with his king. He goes here. The bishop e5 move is the most important one to find. So the idea to win is simple. He takes. So he takes, I take, he pushes, I push. He plays bishop e5. Very important move. I push the pawn here. Oh, I can always distract and take. I push here, he moves with the king. Yeah, that's how he wins. There's no way to stop it. Yeah, he's figured it out now. H4, bishop e5. Wrong. Wrong. Bishop e5. Come on, play bishop e5. Fuck. How do I get rid of this? The square. I need to give a check here. This is the sort of game that makes me hate chess in general. Although it does it. I play h3. Right? If he takes on f6, I play h2. And he plays king g2. I want to cry. Bishop e5 was a killer. It was a killer. So there's nothing to do but resign at this point, I think. I think the best fight that you can put up is this and try to catch the pawn with the king. Of course it is too much. Everybody knows it's too much. Yeah? Oh, I'm just fighting. As you can see. Well, this could be a draw. This could be a draw. Easy draw, maybe. Maybe. Let's see. Zugzwang? Am I winning? Am I winning? Oh, chess. I love you, chess, sometimes. Chess. Chess. This is chess. Oh, my lord. Oh, my sweet, sweet lord. My sweet lord. Ooh, my lord. I really wanna see you. I really wanna be with you. I really wanna see you, Lord. But it takes so long, my lord. Hallelujah. Holy moly. Just pass the tempo to him. He has to go here. I go here, pick up the pawn, everybody goes home happy. My opponent has completely underestimated. He's completely misplayed this. Oh my goodness, I was dead lost. Okay, let's concentrate here. GG. I was completely freaking lost. I was completely lost. Oh my lord. That was one of the most disgusting games I've ever played. Chess, 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 chess. This was a draw. Somewhere around here. I was confident of making a draw. Okay. Let's see. Takes. Everything is good. I go here. F4 is a mistake. H5 is a blunder. This is just, I think my motif was correct. Takes on H5. Takes on H5. F5. H4. Bishop E5 is a win, no? Maybe not. Okay, how do you win this? I knew H5 was a blunder. He just plays F5, but I thought if he played F5 I could just take, and then what? FG6. I thought there I had knight f6 maybe. G7. I push the pawn. What does he do? Oh, bishop g3. He's just winning in so many ways. Gh5. Here knight f6. King c4. Just grimly hanging on. King d5. King g4. King f6. Takes. Where was this mistake? Here. Here, 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 here. Okay. King e5. Why? King takes b2. King d6. King takes a2. King takes c6. King here, d5. This is too much. Come on. He says. They say that both of us get a queen. Of course, my opponent got completely disillusioned. After that, my technique was almost perfect. Yeah. Anyway, that ends the stream for today. And I will see you, next time. This was a surprisingly cheerful end to a bad day.